last 3 years, dollar declined as high as 25 to 30%. So I want to understand how it is going to impact as to individual investors and how big is the threat. Thank you.
The question's about the declining dollar, but I didn't get all the.
He asked you for what do we think about it? What are we going to do about it?
We think the dollar over time is like, unless policies are changed in a major way, is likely to decline somewhat more against most major currencies. And we originally backed that opinion up with transactions that got as high as 21 or 2 billion in the ownership of foreign currencies. And then the carry on that, the difference between interest rates in the various countries, made that quite an expensive way to express that belief. So we have focused much more on buying into companies that earn lots of money in other currencies on the thought that they will be somewhat favored over companies earning just US. But that's not, as I mentioned in the report, that is not a huge determination of what we buy. It's a factor, but it's not 50% of the decision or anything like that. We are following policies in this country that are likely to cause the dollar to decline in value against many major currencies. And who knows what speed, whether it happens this year or next year, we don't have any idea on that sort of thing. But the fundamental forces are fairly strong. We actually only own one currency now, trade, which would surprise you actually. We'll tell you about it next year. Charlie?
Yeah, so far something peculiar has happened. During this exact period of maximum dollar decline in value versus other currencies, the dollar prices at Costco have showed an inflation factor of approximately 0. So what really matters, of course, is how things are working in your own country. And it's been perfectly amazing how well we've gotten by so far with the decline of the dollar.
Yeah, as Charlie says, we reference everything in terms of our own country. If you look at oil, for example, which we'll say has gone from roughly $30 a barrel to $60 a barrel over the last few years, during that same time, the euro has gone from like 83 cents to $1.35. So the price of oil, if you're a European, has gone up very little. I mean, we think oil's run wild, but in terms of anybody that's using the euro, the price of oil has gone up about 25%, and we feel the price has gone up 100%. So you do have this anchoring of thought to your own currency, which is understandable. I do think you'll need to think about currency matters more than Americans traditionally have. I was struck 20, 30, 40 years ago when I would travel elsewhere, how much more sophisticated most people in Europe, in the UK, wherever, were about currency than in the United States. We never had to really think about it because everything was dollar based, and an American didn't have to be smart about currency or even think too much about it in terms of their business. But that world has changed.